Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Murders, Mysteries, and More. My name is Kaylee.
And my name is Desi.
Be sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell next to the subscribe button to turn on post notifications. Before we get into this case, we always encourage those who have useful information to any unsolved case, please report it to your local police and sheriff department.
Dozens of people go missing every year and are never found. Some go missing under suspicious circumstances and some just disappear for no reason. Today we'll be talking about the most missingest man in America, Judge Joseph F. Crater.
So a little bit about who Joseph F. Crater is. So he was born on January 5th, 1889 in Pennsylvania to Leila, Montague, and Frank Carter. He was the oldest of 4 children. He was passionate about music. When he was a child, he played the piano. Carter started working at a very young age for his father. He put in long, grueling hours to help support his family. After high school, he attended Lafayette College in Easton. He graduated in 1911 with honors. And then after he graduated, he went to Columbia University to pursue his law degree. And then in 1916, he graduated from Columbia. At this time, he met a girl named Stella Wheeler, which is his future wife. She was married at the time, but Crater helps her get a divorce shortly after they got married in the spring of 1917.
Crater had a very luxurious life before he went missing, of course. He was a rather wealthy lawyer. He made about $25,000 a year, which is about $639,000 in today's economy. In 1927, he bought an apartment on Fifth Avenue in New York as a gift for Stella, and the couple also owned a summer home in Belgrade Lakes, Maine. He was very popular in politics and made quite a name for himself. And in 1930, Franklin D. Roosevelt appointed Crater to the New York Supreme Court system as a judge.
So the events leading up to his disappearance. August 2nd, 1930, Stella and Crater arrived at their vacation home in Maine. Crater took several phone calls that pissed him off while staying there. He returned to New York City for business the next day. He told Stella he'd be back by her birthday. Her birthday was August 9th. Crater spent the night of August 4th in Stella's Fifth Avenue apartment. He told the maid he'd be heading back to Maine on the 7th. Then he went on his office on August the 5th and August the 6th. On August the 6th, he sent his secretary to the bank to withdraw a total amount of $5,150, which is equivalent to $118 in today's money.
$118,000. You said $118.
I meant $118,000 in
I'm
today's
just like,
money.
damn, that's not shit.
No, that's like
just money,
one
bro.
cheeseburger.
Yeah, no, for real. After that, he went back to the apartment where he dismissed the maid. His excuse was that he was going swimming, which Stella later reports as odd because Crater apparently did not like swimming. Later that evening, he visited his friend / a ticket broker whose name was Joseph Gansky, and there he arranged for Crater to attend the Broadway show Dancing Partner. After that, he made his way on foot to Billy Haas Chophouse, located in the Theater District on West 45th Street. There he dined with attorney William Klein and showgirl Sally Lou Ritz. At 9:15, the trio left the restaurant and Crater got into a taxi, and he was never seen again after that.
His disappearance. August 7th, Stella sent the chauffeur to New York to look for him. The maid told the chauffeur that the judge would show up sooner or later and that he'd make his way to Maine when he did. However, that obviously did not happen. It wasn't until weeks later that everybody started to get concerned. Stella assumed that he was working, but his co-workers assumed he was in Maine with Stella. September 3rd, This is about a month after he was last seen. His disappearance was announced to the public. The day after that, a missing report was filed with the NYPD. They posted a reward for $5,000 for his disappearance. Police checked dead bodies in hotels to see if they resembled him, and over 100 witnesses were called in a grand jury inquiry regarding his disappearance. Why do you think that they waited all the way until September, almost a month after he went missing, to file a missing report?
Hey, maybe this was like a normal occurrence? Like, maybe he went missing all the time or didn't, like, get back to anybody? So, like, he would be at work all the time or whatever and just wouldn't see his wife that often. So maybe this was just kind of normal.
I mean, that is true, because if you are a judge,
Yeah, we're in a minute.
I mean, that is true, because if you are a judge, you are going to probably have to work really long, grueling hours. Yeah, anybody in, like, law, anyone who works at, like, a law firm or anything, you're going to have to work a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe, like, he was out all the time at, like, after work as well, like, in the nightlife or whatever. So, I don't know. This might have been just normal until, like, they realized, oh, hey, he's not coming back, bro. Like, oh, shit. But, let's get into the theories here. Theory number 1 is that, which is very obvious, he ran away. He was very well connected in the world of New York politics, and around this time, there were investigations into political corruption, and this could have been a very big liability for him, whether he was involved or not. Something he may have fled to avoid testifying against those who helped him throughout his career. But some also suggest that Crater may have been buying and selling judgeships, which, if you don't know, it's like the position, office, or function of a judge. So he's like selling himself, which he could have even been possibly selling people out of his own, like New York Supreme Justice. Other theories are that he ran away to start a new life with a mistress. The investigation into his disappearance turned up a rotation of beautiful girls he regularly socialized with, and he was known to have a thing for showgirls, which was a big thing at this time. He did have the nickname Good Time Joe just because of his appetite for dancing and his reputation as a womanizer. And he also would draw a large amount of money, but according to Stella, she found the money he withdrew, which is kind of weird.
She's like, that's my money too.
That's my money. Where you going with it, bitch? If he truly ran away, don't you think he would have taken that money with him?
So, yes, if he truly ran away, it would make more sense for him to bring that money with him, because he could have used that money to pay for, like, a secret hideout spot for him. Or, like you mentioned, that he had a thing for showgirls, so he probably would have used that money to stuff like that. Find him a new girl, and money talks.
Well, not just that, but also with that kind of money, you could, like, make a whole new, like, identity for yourself.
That's true. Especially, in that time.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, definitely know if that was all you had. Well, right.
It wouldn't work. Yeah.
That rip.
Fat rip to you, fam. Like, she. But, why was there no evidence of him running away if that was the case?
So, that is a really good question. I can see why that makes it less likely for him to have ran away. But, at the same time, like we mentioned before, you know, he might have gone out after work at these restaurants and, like, hung out, so, and stuff like that. So, many people might have, you know, thought, oh, it's normal for him to be gone for a long time. That gave him enough time to really just go away without, hide whatever evidence. And like we mentioned, with that amount of money, you could create a totally new identity. And so that would be why we wouldn't have seen, evidence of him running away. But it definitely, though, makes it a little less likely, because I feel like you would have seen more of his stuff gone. It doesn't really mention if, his clothes were gone or anything like that. You would think he would take clothes with him and like his suitcase and like the money instead of leaving that behind.
You would think, but I don't know.
So theory number 2 is natural causes. We all die. So Richard J. Toffel, an author, suggested that Crater's body was disposed of after he died of natural causes. One part of the story that Crater got into a taxi was actually found to be incorrect. Chophouse examined the testimony of Crater's 2 companions, who reported they both got into a cab while Crater set off down the street on foot. Chophouse believes Crater went to see the show, dancing partner, and then ended up at a brothel. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Chophouse suggested that while soliciting services, he died. An early draft of Polly Alder's memoir talks about Crater's death and the removal of his body by her mobster friends at her. This may not be true though, as no copies of this actual draft have been found. So, why do you think Crater set off down the street on foot while his friends hopped in the cab?
Because this man was on a mission, bro. He's going somewhere. Whether he was going to see a show or to a brothel or nightclub. Nah, maybe he just didn't want to take a taxi or whatever. Maybe it was more like convenient for him to be on foot versus like in the same taxi or a different taxi as his like friends or whatever. So maybe that's why he took off on foot. Maybe he was used to like being on foot all the time and preferred it.
Right, that's true, because it is New York.
Yeah, you can walk anywhere.
Yeah, you can't do that with many other states but New York, for sure. And do you believe Crater could have died from natural causes?
Oh yeah, no, for sure, he could have. It's very possible. I mean, like, you know, we all eventually die, whether it's natural causes or not. But, I mean, like, he was pretty, like, up there in age. I mean, like, he was 41, so, like, you know, he could have had, like, a heart attack or something like that could have killed him. But, like, I would think if he died from natural causes, somebody would have reported it.
That's what you would think, and also it's more common for, like, older people. I mean, not to say that younger people don't have, like, underlying conditions that can cause that, but...
Well, most of the time back then, they only lived to be about, like, 50 or 60. The lifespan was kind of shorter than it is now. Like, now people live older.
Yeah,
then,
people are,
not so
like,
much.
ancient.
No, back then they didn't live, like, very long.
And another question I have is, even though that there have been no copies of this draft found, do you think that there was an early draft of Polly Alder's memoir that talked about Crater's death and that her mobster friends actually removed his body?
I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. But, like, also, they didn't find it. Kind of weird, you know? But it's possible. Anything's possible. I mean, maybe they just didn't want to get in trouble and decided, hey, let's just get rid of his body. But, I don't know. The author could have also been making that up as well. About the memoir having drowned.
True.
Yeah, you don't know what to believe nowadays. There's too much. But into the very last theory, very, very common theory amongst every single missing person's case, murder. Because murder is a thing, unfortunately. Some people believe that Crater was prepared to expose the corruption of Tammany Hall, which was a big place for, you know, politics and all that stuff. And then the mob took him out. Still, even up until her death, believes that the judge had been kidnapped and murdered. And she said, quote unquote, Joe Crater would not run away from anything or anybody. Some claim that one of his mistresses could have had a boyfriend with ties to the mob and took him out. And some also claim that he could have been blackmailed by a showgirl who had her boyfriend killed the judge. Now, the grand jury, who was looking into his disappearance, did bring up possible connections to some suspicious dealings, but were not strong enough to conclude anything. But it gets even weirder now. In 2005, a woman named Stella Ferrucci Good, not related to Stella, Joe's wife, died, and in an envelope in her safety deposit box, there were notes that were inside that claimed her husband, Robert Good, knew what happened to Joseph Crater, And the notes say that over drinks with Robert, taxi driver Frank Burns claimed to have been driving the cab Crater got into. He drove a few blocks before 2 accomplices jumped into the car, and the taxi driver took the judge to Coney Island, where Crater was murdered and buried under the boardwalk. And there was a specific location given on where he would have been under the boardwalk, but at this time, the New York Aquarium had been constructed over that section of the boardwalk, so they couldn't investigate, which is shitty for them, but whatever, he's gone anyways. Do you think if they had found those notes closer to his disappearance, they would have found him?
It is very possible that if they did find those notes sooner or just shortly after he disappeared, they would have been possibly able to find him, because obviously there was an aquarium under construction at the time that they knew about the notes, but before that, obviously that wouldn't have been there, so they would have potentially been able to investigate that area to see if that truly did happen.
Pretty fucking sad, man. But my next question is, why would they take him out specifically to Coney Island to kill him?
That's a good question.
I know.
Again, it is if the mob truly took him out, you know, they're obviously going to go somewhat more extreme way. So they thought it might be really cool to kill him in Coney Island. And also, like, it would have been away from where he lives. So there's that.
And my last question to you is, why would one of his mistresses want to kill him?
So if one of the mistresses if she had a boyfriend that was a part of a mob or even like a gang, and maybe her boyfriend found out that she was cheating on him with a judge and he wasn't very happy, and because, you know, if you're involved, if you know like somebody from the mob or like a gang, she probably didn't want to die, so she was like, well, I'll do anything for my boyfriend and we'll have him killed.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I can see it.
Yeah, pretty much ride or die.
Ride or die, bitch.
So we will never truly know what happened here. All as we know at this point, Joseph F. Crater is long gone. He's more than likely dead. Please leave in the comments below what you think happened to him.
And as always, thank you for listening to another episode of Murders, Mysteries, and More. Remember to always keep your eyes open because you never know if you'll be the next one to go missing.